I'ma have all you motherfuckers laying in ditch. I'ma kill all you rappers, I'ma aim with precision. They was rocking with your ass till they made a decision. All my friends making millions cause they know.
What up, everybody? Live Reality Games Podcast. I'm Daniel Ball. He's Steven Stewart, and we are recapping episode 12, Survivor Season 47. Steven, a lot to process after this episode. We always start with the grade. You're the professor. You're in grading mode. So what are we grading this week's episode?
10 out of 10 for this episode. I am happy. This was amazing.
It was one of those moments in Survivor history where you will talk about this moment and this particular, I guess, strategical move for a long time. And it was almost to the point where I felt as though in some aspects it was Andy who thought before he started playing this game, he wanted to have some type of strategical move. So he in his head, he concocts this idea and it finally was like the right time to do it. I don't know how you feel, but Andy, to me, you got to start taking him a little bit more serious, or at least I do, because I haven't really taken him seriously.
I'm really taking Andy serious now. I mean, I think we've been talking, saying like, all right, seems likely Andy's going to get in the end. Andy knows his game. People don't know Andy's game. People are going to still maybe be anchored off that day 3 Andy appearance. But I think this is the type of thing, like, I don't think there are good moves and there are bad moves, and big moves kind of encompass both good and bad moves. And I think this was both a big move as well as good for his game.
Yeah. For, anytime you play a Survivor style game, you know that you're going to have to make moves. Some, like you said, are big moves that have either positive, negative, or net neutral reactions to them. And then others may be big moves that have, positive, negative, or neutral, implications that come from them. I think you, at some point, you're going to have to make a big move, and you have to deal with the aftermath, because now you're in a situation where I think that's a big move, but there's going to be some blowback, and what that blowback is might be casualties of other people, which might benefit Andy for creating this move, or it could be blowback that puts him at the forefront where he now is in the line of fire. So I don't know where that situates him, but I do know that Genevieve, once again, is breathing a sigh of relief. Sam is breathing a sigh of relief, and everyone else is sitting there going, what in the just happened? And Sue, bless her heart, but hey, another episode has come and gone, and she's done nothing.
Well, I mean, one of the questions we've had this season is Genevieve pulls off the Saul blindside at the final 10, right? Saul goes out, the final 10, and we're like, she got away with murder, and the answer, she didn't. Genevieve's been really handicapped since. She has had no political capital to really maneuver or do things with. She's kind of a sitting duck at the whim of other players. And, there's been concern, like, is the same going to happen to Andy? But what I like about this move is Andy does it with Sam and Genevieve, these two targets. And so if Andy Andy votes those two out next, sits in the finals, he's the one who claims the move. Like, here's what I did. Yes, look at the jury members. I did this with your assistance, but I proposed the move. I made it happen. They can confirm what I've done. Like, that's I think a real win for Andy in this case. And again, like, I think he set up at least where he's not the biggest threat. He is a threat at the end now, but he's not like, oh no, we can't stand to Genevieve. It's not like that.
Yeah. I think this was a move that is a huge move for him, but it's also, he was the one really who assumed all risk with this move.
Yeah.
Because the only bad that could have happened with Sam and Genevieve was they're still on the chopping block, at least with Andy. Now this move, he's clearly created a dividing line between Teeny, Sue, and Rachel, while he's pulling back with Sam and Genevieve, and it's crazy, this roller coaster that Andy's been on with who he decides he wants to play with and who he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's filtered his way back to Sam, who, I mean, if you think about it, like, it's kind of poetic in a sense, because that's who he started with, and Sam was that guy for a while, and then some things happened, but now they found their way back to each other, like this long lost love connection that now is coming to fruition. You know,
Sam's a
found
pretty mercenary player, though. I can easily see Sam throwing him under the bus in a round later.
Well, I mean, but I think it's at that point you have to, because at some point people are going to have to win the game, and in order to win the game, everyone else has to lose the game. So you have to do things that separate yourself from the other people that are closest to you to win the game. And right now, Andy's clearly one of the closest people up there to making moves and winning the game.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is we haven't heard anything from Andy about who do I want to sit with in the final three. We don't know that, and like,
I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows. I think he's just like, I'm playing the game week by week, and if a big move is what's going to shake things up to get me further and make me stronger, then that's what I'm going to do.
Well, because I get the feeling that, like, it hurts me to say this, like, Sue and Teeny are probably the two safest people to be in the end with at the moment, that a lot of people are maybe looking at.
Yeah, that's
sucks.
But it also, if you know, if Sue and Teeny know that, if they're like, all right, I'm in a position now where people might want to bring me along, now's the time for them to make things happen. You know, if you're going to go out, you might as well go out trying to make things happen. I mean, what's the difference between going out 4th or 5th? Absolutely nothing, really. You know?
The consolation prize, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know what I'm sure they get some type of monetary, reward. And the breakdown is probably based on placement and stuff, but I don't know what that is. But
I think second place gets 100. I want to say third gets like maybe 50. If they tie, it gets split between the two. And I think it's much less from there, but I do think there's, I could be wrong. I just know there's money for 1, 2, 3.
I mean, either way, like that's a nice chunk of change to finish 3rd or 4th in a game,
Sue is paying for all of her future mud facials right now.
You know what? I just don't. All right, let's talk Sue. You got me going. Here we go. All right, Sue is happy that Kyle is finally gone. All right, but like, can Sue take a bath? Can Sue get in the water? Like, there's water all around her. Everyone else doesn't have junk all over their face, and like, I don't know if she's going for like the realism, but she looks like she's a coal miner in tribal. Like, what is going on?
There's a quote from Caroline early in the episode where she's like, here's Sue getting dirtier and dirtier every day, or something like that, right?
Yeah, Caroline, I think she missed a golden opportunity. She was talking about, Sue, and she's like, Sue's someone I want to take to the end. She's like a motherly figure. But in reality, I wish she would have said a grandmotherly figure, because let's be real. Like, that's what it is. And as the president of the Survivor fan club, I can say that because I know her true age. It's 72. So, she's got grandkids. So it would just make sense if Caroline would have said that. Caroline is having an, affection for Sue and wants to be at the end with her, while Genevieve is, she knows that the Saul vote was bad for her game, and the past couple of weeks she's been paying for that because she's been at the bottom, and she's got to, what she says, shrink her game and show a little bit more emotion, get to know people, because I mean, really it could be too little too late. And at this point in the episode, like, all fingers are pointing to her or Sam being the ones. And Steven, I'll ask you, man, like, if you're on the bottom and it's clear that you're on the bottom. Do you go around just like boasting the fact that you're on the bottom? Like, does that like get you brownie points with people and get sympathy? Because that's what Sam and her did like the first 25 minutes of the episode until they went to a reward challenges. They just told everybody how, yeah, it's probably going to be us. Well, if you want it to be, it will be.
When the times I felt in a minority where I'm like, well, shoots. I'm like, this past summer I did Survivor Durant's Final Five. I am officially the minority. It's like me and one other girl and the three others, and like it's kind of like, well, I know it's me, but would you consider this? It was kind of a lot of like, Hail Mary throwing at this point. I appreciated how Genevieve went to Andy, said, hey, I said the following. It somehow got back to, I know it got back to, that wasn't right of me to say. Like, I shouldn't have dismissed your game like that. That was really great to see. But then Genevieve and Teeny, on the other hand, you're like, ooh, this isn't pleasant.
Yeah. Teeny is nervous about Genevieve, and Sam's still outwardly saying, well, we don't have a chance. But Rachel's then saying, well, I'm not nervous at all. And at first I thought she was saying that because she knows she's got a little bit of protection hidden in her pocket. But really, I think what she was just alluding to is like she said, they have numbers. Yeah. And so, at this point in the episode, who's right here? Is Teeny right to go, I'm nervous about Genevieve, or is Rachel right to say, well, we have the numbers? Because clearly
you always are nervous in Survivor.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that we've harped on the whole season is sometimes like the easy vote is the easy vote. And that's like, let's do that. But this season, you haven't seen a whole lot of the easy votes happening. It's always been this, let's make it harder. Or even Kyle, last week was the easy, he's the easy vote, but they made it entirely too hard to get to the easy vote. Like they could have just did it.
Well, here's what's interesting. I'm going to read you the vote counts since the merge.
Okay.
Rome, a 9-2-1 vote. Tiana, 4-1. Sierra, it was first a 4-1 tie, 8-1 vote. Saul, 8-1. Gabe, 7-2. Kyle, 6-1-1. Caroline, 3-2-2. All right. It's been interesting because like I don't think we've been easy votes, but we've still seen like fairly large majorities coalescing for votes. And this is the first time we really had like, and again, it's really a 4v3 in a sense, but it was still the most interesting kind of scattered vote in a sense, even though there was a vote split plan. Yes.
Yeah. That's telling to see the vote counts, prior to this week's vote. And I think a lot of it has to do is you don't want to rock the boat and you don't want to be on the wrong side of the vote. And so sometimes you just gotta, kneel at the foot of the king for the week and just go the way that everybody else is, because you can't, you don't want to put a target on your back the following week by voting for somebody who's going to still be in the game.
Yeah. Which like Teeny votes for Saul and is crying about it, but like, you're like, that's a good move because you're not putting it out there. You're not angering Sue, who's going to come for revenge because you voted for her. Can I put a quote up from one of the listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see.
So Mo says, it's all in everyone's best interest to vote out Rachel. None of the other 5 will be here at FTC. Do you feel like Rachel is going to can be anyone, or you think Rachel like?
I think her and Sue are the toughest to get out because they have something that they know damn well can keep them in the game longer. Mm-hmm. And you've seen it from week to week. The tides change so quickly, and all you got to do is go through one live tribal like they did a few weeks ago, and then things get turned upside down, or you get one player like Andy who's wanting to create this big move, and then you have, this magic. But I think it is in their best interest to figure out a way to get Rachel out of the game. I agree with, I find this name funny, Mo Sizlak. Yeah, I don't think anybody beats Rachel at the final tribal.
Really?
I think after this week, you could maybe make a case for Andy, but to me, he's put a target on his back after this week. And if you're Sam and Genevieve, all right, hear me out. If you're those two who are now aligned with him, you can't feasibly say, let's go to the final three with, if I'm Sam, feasibly say, I'm going to go to the final three. I want Genevieve and Andy to be right there with me, because I don't think Sam wins against either of those two. And if Genevieve does it, I now don't think that she beats Andy.
So if I was in Sam's position, I would not want anywhere near me in the finals, because he has this big strategic move he's made where he essentially commanded where my vote went, and unless I've done other stuff, that's going to be pretty constraining for me when I argue and say, well, I'm better than this person here due to strategic reasons. And so I do agree that Sam likely does not want to sit with Genevieve, and likely not Andy at the end. Just the trick is Sam needs them to go home 6 and 5 without him going home in those spots either. In terms of Rachel, I don't think Rachel, like, why do you think Rachel can beat everyone? Like, what is Rachel going to do that's going to outshine everyone at Final Tribal Council?
Well, I'm saying that because I think she has the best likelihood to get there.
I think she's going to get there, but what makes you think she's going to beat her? What makes you think she's going to beat everyone?
I mean, let's think about what she's done. I mean, outside of winning the immunity challenges, she's now has an advantage that she was able to maneuver, and I think it's going to come down to that, to be honest, because anybody can play an immunity idol and save themselves and do something. If she can use that advantage to block someone's vote and it's a game-changing moment and maybe saves her or saves someone that she wants to take to the final three with her, I think that's the move that puts her over the top and she wins. As far as, and I think a lot of it is I just don't like Andy and I don't want him to win. I don't think Sue, I'm the president of her fan club, but like she hasn't done near enough. Genevieve has been fighting for her life, but really essentially got lucky this week that she was taking on a reward and was in the mix to do something, because had they not gone on that reward, I don't know how this would have played out. I think she might have went home. And then Sam, it's the same thing. Like, what has Sam really done? You know, so when you look at it, the two that stick out are Andy and Rachel, and I don't think they want to go to the final 5 with either one of those, which is why I think Rachel, because of the power that she has in her pocket, she's got just as good of a chance to win it, in my opinion. I could be wrong, and I probably am wrong, because normally in these situations I am.
I think it is good to think about the 6 and the 5 vote, where she's going to use her advantage. So if she's able to block vote with Teeny and Sue, she will control the 6th vote. That will be her. She'll play her idol at 5, likely nullify votes against her, right? And I think she's played a solid enough game to the point where she was in this group of 5, and she was likely what we consider the front runner in that group of 5. But like, I think Genevieve can still stand. I think if Genevieve gets to the end and says, you know, I came out, I struck hard, and I survived despite that, despite everyone gunning for me, here I am. And look, here's how I evolved my game as I shrunk and played down myself to let you all forget about that. It's like, I think she can have an argument. I do agree, Sam, people may be saying he's a big threat. I just don't, it's going to be hard for Sam to back that up outside of what people were saying.
Yeah, I agree. However, they get a reward challenge, and a lot of untying of bags, pushing.
I just
bags.
feel like what a treat to have an episode where that went in no direction I thought it was going to go.
Yeah. The reward, they get Italian food.
Muted?
Nope, not muted. Are we good?
Okay, I can hear you now. I don't know if that was something
right.
on my end or your end.
Probably my end. It's crazy. Okay. Crazy around here. It gets cold in Florida, and all of a sudden things just don't want to work the way that they should. So but what I was saying, reward challenge, Sam, unties bags, pushes balls through sand, goes under a rope tunnel, and lands balls on a perch better than any of them. Better than any of them.
Not Rachel though.
Almost. And if you're Rachel in that particular situation, like I do, like, I am not a proponent for losing challenges on purpose. But like as a reward challenge, you're coming off 2 big immunity wins. Like maybe you shouldn't try to win that one as much as you might want to eat. Like,
So is that final 7 reward always the Loveland letter? Has that been consistent the past couple seasons? I haven't done the math and looked.
I don't know if that's consistent. I feel like it's consistent as in regard to like this late in the game, you're going to get it at some point, like whether that's at 8 or 7 or however many, I don't know. But given what you might look at is how many episodes are left. That's where you might go, okay, this is the third to the last episode of the season. That's our love letters episode. We got to make sure we put that in. But let's talk about that. The love letters at first, it was just the reward was just laid out. A dinner, you go to the sanctuary where good things happen, and they get Italian food. And it wasn't until at the very end, Jeff discloses that, oh, Sam, you won Italian food, but you're also going to get love letters, so you get to do that. I personally, and I think we've had this conversation before, I could take or leave the love letters. I could take or leave the food. If I felt as though it would benefit my game to give that away. Oh, wow. You hear that?
I was just saying, like, I don't need love letters. I have all the love I need.
Right. There's plenty of love coming through that door. But yeah, I feel like if it was going to benefit my game to give it away, I could easily make that call and give it away. And I don't want people to send me messages of hate, but I love my family, but I can survive without them for 26 days for $1 million.
So question. So let's say you don't win the rewards. The person's the map. They have to pick 2 people. Do you just say, hey, I'm good. Don't pick me. Don't worry about me. Would you say that, or just be quiet and let them maybe pick you naturally?
I would let them pick me naturally. And the gamesmanship of it becomes, all right, well, who else is going? If the right people are going and I feel like I'm picked and I need to go, then I go. If not, then I'm like, at that point, I'll be like, I'm good. I don't have to go. Pick somebody else. But I also don't know what the rules are. Sometimes he's very clear on what you can and can't do, and then other times it's not. So I don't know if that was even an option for them, is to decline and offer. Being that it was an Italian dinner, like, I don't feel like you can, if the Godfather asks you to go, like, you got to go. You can't decline a seat at the table, right?
So if you won the challenge, would you pick 2 people and say, hey, Jeff, can I pick someone else to take my spot? Would you do that?
I think that I would negotiate picking who I wanted to go and then bowing out. So, maybe picking, like, all right, so I win. I pick 2 other people, strategically, the 2 people that I don't care if they go. And then at the very end go, you know what, Jeff? I want to give mine to Sue. I feel like she's deserving of this, and I really feel bad that she can't go. So I'm going to give up my spot. But I wouldn't do it until after I knew who was going, if I won. If I could do that, that's what I would do. So trying to just make sure I control who is there and who I'm staying back with, I think is the route that I would try to take. But
so looking at Sam's choices, then, like, I mean, empirically, like, historically, he made the correct answer. But, like, would that have been your ideal too, that Sam should have taken before Operation Italy was revealed to us?
So I thought about this when he made the choice of Andy, right? Because in my head, I go, okay, he's probably going to take Genevieve.
Yeah.
I mean, her staying back to here and plan is only detrimental to Sam because now she could be with people and plot something against him. At least if he knows the one ally that he has is with him, like they can then pull somebody to make a move. I thought that they were going to go Teeny or Sue because they wanted somebody who would flip with them easily. And Teeny and Genevieve have been just so bad. I just didn't like it would have been a crazy move for at that point for Teeny to work with Genevieve. So I really thought that they were going to pull Sue over there, but he didn't. He picks Andy. You okay with that? What do you think about the picks?
I like the Andy pick. It was someone that he has history with and could work with and could figure something else out. I was surprised by Genevieve because I would want someone I trusted back at camp, keeping an eye. And yes, maybe she can bust you, but so you have the opportunity to bust her. And especially let's say if you leave Genevieve and Teeny back, they're not going to get along. And so you're like, okay, I think there's enough friction. They're not going to get any momentum going per se. I don't know. I was thinking maybe like Andy and Rachel say, "It's got it back together, y'all," and like bring them in. But
Isn't it? It's crazy to me that this three-headed little Italian operation monster could have started weeks ago. They had to put each other, knives in each other's back to come back to where we're at today. And I guess that's the beauty of the game. Unless you are that person, then it's like, wow. But
yeah, I don't know. I was surprised with Genevieve's. It's like, I don't like it. Maybe because they're both going to work on this one person, but it didn't seem like the ideal pair, especially because here's what surprised me. I was really stunned this episode with the distrust, anger, I don't know what you want to call it, between that Teeny was feeling towards Sam. And I felt like there's something must have happened over the past 2 rounds or so that really soured the relationship between them that I don't feel like we really got to see.
nothing aggravates me more than Teeny typecasting Sam and saying, it's one thing to say, here's what I believe about someone and here's why. It's another to say, Sam is probably this type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean probably? To me, that sounds like you just don't like him.
Yeah.
So like, okay, how can someone probably be like, to me, that's bullshit. I think like I got really turned off on Teeny at that moment. And I think a lot of it is like you've been there for 20 days and you might think you know someone, but I guarantee you don't know them well enough to figure out who exactly they are as a person in their personal life and how they grew up unless they're telling you these things. But we don't have the backstory on all that. But I don't know. I got really turned off on that.
I think it was coming a place of anger, hunger, maybe perhaps of irrationality, given that you aren't sleeping and aren't eating and you're in this paranoid game. I really felt surprising that that's the emotions that were being evoked from Teeny after not being chosen. Was Teeny feeling entitled at that point? I don't know, but it's like, wow, something's really gone south in their relationship in the game that Teeny's feeling so angry at this moment.
Teeny was feeling herself in this episode a lot. I think she was more vocal, like outwardly vocal than any episode I've seen her in. And maybe that's a little bit of why like those little things are sticking out to me, like, what she said, I like Teeny. I just didn't like her in that particular moment,
I agree.
So
it's not all the moments you can have on national TV of yourself. That's not up there for moments you want.
Right. And she, if you brought her on and talked to her about it, she might tell you the same thing. Yeah, was probably wrong, or I, was in the heat of the moment and emotions. And, when you're out there for 20 days and you're depleted of sleep, you're depleted of food, like, things get to you a little bit more. But she wasn't happy with, well, actually, I mean, I guess she was happy with Sam's choice to take those people to the sanctuary, because she just said basically he's a dead man walking. While at the sanctuary, Genevieve then, starts opening up about her wanting to be more emotional and be more vested in learning and getting to know people. Tears, letters from home, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, this sounds wild, but a lot of what Genevieve said this episode, like, here's what I have been playing, here's how I need to play, I need to open myself up, be more emotional, get these connections before I lose them. I need to be less about, like, I was like, man, are these like, is she gonna win this thing? Are these winner quotes? Like, are we like, even is Rachel actually just being like a smokescreen of like the big bad guy that needs to be conquered, and Genevieve's gonna slink into the end and wow, and like be like, hey y'all, I'm here despite what I did.
I mean, when Genevieve's talking that way, I'm thinking like this is like the setup. This is like her practicing what her final tribal speech is going to be. And she's like, these are the bullet points I want to hit in this thing. And like, when you start thinking about it, yeah, like those are like definitely like winner quotes all the way. And I think, we saw it in the previews. I think there's going to be a showdown between her and Rachel, because they've been hinting at this and maybe even saying it to some degree that the island's not big enough for the both of them. And Genevieve knows if she's sitting at final 3, Rachel's going to be a problem. And then Rachel knows if Genevieve's sitting at the final 3 with her, she's going to be a problem. So one of them's got to go. Andy at the sanctuary calls for a meeting. They need to, he says they need to put out that Genevieve or Sam have an idol so that others will split votes. And they start thinking, and he's like, this is a crazy idea, I know. And so you get this, I think, Andy says it best.
They're going to be suspicious when you come back. Yeah, we have to come up with a whole fake story. We have to milk the time that we have on the sanctuary to put together a very difficult mission. Yeah. This is not simple. It's going to require thorough planning, a lot of stealth, and just pure execution.
This is a reward with Italian food. I think Operation Italy is good. Yeah, I like that. Okay. That's the plan to knock out Rachel at the final 7. Yeah.
This is the biggest heist of season 47 of Survivor, and we're calling it Operation Italy.
Not the Italian job, that's trademark. But Operation Italy, I like it.
So, all right. So when they start, and maybe it's me and my like dislike for Andy, okay? Based on Andy this entire season, he comes up with this plan and then calls it cornily Operation Italy. And I just don't put any stock into it. I don't believe it. I don't think it's going to work. I'm like, this is like a Mickey Mouse plan at best. And just because like, it's very cartoonish how it all like went down. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like if I would like to have seen like it edited to have some dramatic effect and some undertones and some music that was ominous, like, creating like this very sinister
this is
moment.
Fun, though. It was very like Ocean's 11 style editing and cuts, and like, are they doing all their things to pull off this heist? I really enjoyed it.
I didn't dislike it, but I didn't put enough belief into it because of Andy being
fragile.
The one who concocted.
Andy.
And it's when you hear it out, like it makes sense. It's like, all right, but you got 3 different pieces to this plan, and I'm just thinking to myself, at what point in this season has one idea gone to plan, much less you got to get 3 moving parts to all mesh and go well together. But it's a good thing that that's happening, because back at camp,
one quick thing, So in the montage we see at the reward, we see Sam takes out his idol from Gata, right? He reveals the idol, and to our knowledge, Andy never knew that Sam had that, or maybe now, and maybe somehow along the way Andy found out, etc. But I was just like, oh, like, are we gonna hear any repercussions? Or now it's just like Sam shows that he has an old idol. We're gonna take it apart so Genevieve can make a fake idol out of it. I don't know. I was like, oh, I want to see Andy what's that? Where'd that come from?
Right. I think at this point in the game, like the plan is the only thing that Sam really has, and so like, why not come clean about the idol if you're willing to go out, on this plan that Andy created? Then you might as well just be like, hey, what I can do that will help us out is I can give Genevieve this old idol that I didn't play, and she can make it a fake one.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how this goes. But definitely some moving pieces, and Andy being the catalyst and the most important person, and the person assuming all risk, is really where I was really leery of this even coming off the ground. While they're at the sanctuary, then you have Teeny rallying the troops of voting Sam out. She says what she says about him, and then, you get Caroline saying this.
Got it. This is the 4 who are going to run this show to the very frickin' end. I'm girl power! Woo! Girl power. I'll be honest, I can see the $1 million. I can see the final tribal. I can see my pitch. I can see myself winning this game, and it's intoxicating, and it's so exciting. Good job, guys. Woo!
The KOD for Caroline right there. Just the kiss of death that, she can see herself in the final 3. She can see herself win the $1 million. Wow. I think foreshadowing that was.
I think if you're ever on Survivor and you want to make a girls' alliance, you just never utter those words. You never and then you just say, it's like, oh, we're all women. It's like, oh, what a strange coincidence. Don't mention that again.
And I think it just has to happen organically. I don't think you can force. You don't want to force it just to say, oh, we did it.
Yeah.
Even, if they were all at risk of being picked off by a tribe, then okay, yeah, we need to create something. We need to figure out a way to flip somebody so that we can become powerful in this game. But that's not the case. For the most part, they're not going to the reward believing that they're mostly safe and that the vote is going to be the vote. But how Andy with his plan, they end up coming back, and that's when you see this Operation Italy in full effect. You got Danny Ocean, you got whatever Brad Pitt's name is in the movie. They're doing work. You got Julia Roberts or Catherine Zeta-Jones, whichever Oceans that you're watching. You can take your pick. Sam, first apologizes and said he'd rather go Rachel, but will vote Genevieve. So like he tells them outwardly, hey, I'll do anything. I'll even vote Genevieve, who's my number 1 right now. I just don't let it be me. I want to stick around another day. Genevieve, uses the twine from the tree mail, Sam's fake idol, and she, concocts this fake idol and shoves it in her pocket. Andy goes. Yep.
In terms of fake idols, do you like how easy it is to make a fake idol? That you just throw some beads in a string and say, "Here we go, y'all."
To me, it's like I want to see. You don't see the real idols up close enough to go, well, yeah, you can definitely tell this is fake. I do like the fact that you can play a fake idol, and that's a potential risk. I don't like that in every season there's enough things to make one. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think they throw a wrench in the game, but I also think that, it kind of hurts whoever gets this fake idol.
Maybe the rewards need to be we're going to drop you off in an arts and crafts supply camp. have fun.
Your reward is wait for it now. I got this.
Rachel, you want to play a game? Today, we're going to take you out in the middle of the ocean to a barge. It's not really a barge, it's a hobby lobby. And you get to create your own fake idol. Twine, beads, twill, leaves, coconut, you name it. We got it. Fake idol.
Yeah,
So-
I mean that's
Survivor needs to get Hobby Lobby as a sponsor. Open up a mini Hobby Lobby. Give the player a shopping cart, 2 minutes in the ground to run and grab all the supplies they can to make their fake idol.
I wonder in a reward challenge or in an advantage, or has there ever been just this is not a real idol, this is a fake idol? You found a fake idol and you can use it however you want.
Debbie got like a fake idol kit in Game Changers, or she had the option to take one in Game Changers, I know.
So I don't know. I think a fake idol in this case like really changes the game and creates like this sense of fear and this sense of belief in this operation at Italy that they're trying to pull off. I just don't know what it looked like well enough to be like, man, that looks so fake. But I feel like you would have to be able to tell, right?
So we when I guess we'll talk about it now. And maybe it's just an artifact of the editing, but I loved with how Genevieve showed it, acknowledged it, but then couldn't let Teeny investigate it. Teeny kind of buys it. Like I loved and then at the voting, Genevieve doesn't play it. Sam's like, "What are you doing? You need to play it." Genevieve's like, "No, it's okay." And and you get a sense like, oh, like that felt real. Like so you can actually I loved how they played off the fake idol, and Genevieve's like, "Of course I don't have the note on me. I buried it. It's like I can go get it later, but I don't have it on me."
Yeah, it's did she say she buried it or burned it or she did something with it? But like that whole, like I want to know that was improv. I don't want to know that they discussed this is how we're going to play this at Tribal, because if you improv that, man, like what a dynamite move on their part. Like that, I think was if you were on the fence of whether Genevieve had it or not, or was going to play it or not, like that was the deciding factor that pushed you one way or the other. Because had it been me, I would have been like, well, shit, she's definitely going to play. She's definitely got it. And now she's deciding not to play it. Like, but, the whole Operation Italy thing, it goes to plan. Andy gets into the Underdog Alliance. He sees that Genevieve has an idol. Genevieve shows it to Teeny briefly. Andy comes up, they stow it away, and then they kind of disperse. And then the telephone game starts rolling with this idol that Teeny saw Genevieve have. And, it puts the idea of, well, now what? And
how did you rate Andy's acting, by the way?
Not good. He's terrible.
He's good enough.
He's good enough. And when you look at him, like he just gets overly excited about, and maybe it was the way it was edited, but it seemed like he kept pushing split. They need to split the vote. They need to split the vote. They need to split the vote. And if Sam was the okay choice and Genevieve has the idol, you're not like, if you're not sure about it, then like, why can't they just keep under wraps who they're going to vote for? Genevieve probably plays the idol. You can still all vote Sam, and then boom, Sam goes home.
I mean, because I guess there's the risk of Genevieve, the plan is leaked to Genevieve, or she just doesn't play it, and now she's sitting with the idol at 6. You have to eat one of your own at 6 instead. One thing that I don't feel like we got to see is, even before Genevieve flashed the idol to Teeny, because that was like, why was everyone so caught up or believing that Genevieve had an idol to begin with? Like, what made them think that she had one? Maybe it was just Andy saying, she started acting weird and squirrely at the challenge after Sam and I stepped away to talk for a minute, and I don't know what happened, but I think she might have found, maybe there's something like that Andy said that made people think like she has an idol. But I was like, I don't feel like we quite got that in the episode of why people were so convinced even before Genevieve flashed it to Teeny.
Yeah, it's like this idea of her having an idol just kind of floated out of air. It was like where did it come from? Like who thought that they saw something, or who had some suspicions on her having something? I don't know if she went anywhere or did anything. I don't remember her in any of the past episodes making it seem suspicious, like she's going off on her own. So there was no, you're right, there was no backstory telling us or any kind of hint as to how her name with this idol was created, other than somebody just saying, oh, I think she has an idol. Yeah.
But is this one of the most effective fake idols we've seen in a while?
I mean, yeah, because traditionally when you think about a fake idol, you think about somebody finding it and playing it, and it's fake.
Yeah,
this was another
has it, and they look, I have an idol, and I'll hand it to you, just don't vote for me, and everyone's like, yeah, it's fake.
Right. And this was a different layer where you used it to manipulate votes, and it didn't necessarily, it wasn't played on or somebody play it for themselves to cause them to go home. It was used in a manner that changed votes that caused a different person to go home, which that's a layer of strategy in this game that that's a big time move. This whole scenario that was mapped out, I think when you look at it start to finish and what it created, this was one of the biggest moves that you'll see in the game, just because it's a complex layer of things that had to happen, but also it wasn't the traditional way that you would use a fake idol. And I enjoy seeing that. It's just like another evolution of the game. And now you might see everybody do that moving forward.
Well, this took a lot of pieces coming together, and definitely skill on the parts of Andy, Genevieve, and Sam to pull off the bluffs.
Yeah. If you would have told me that 2 weeks ago, Andy was going to concoct a plan that Genevieve and Sam were going to help, make it come through, I would have been like, nah, you're crazy. That's not happening. Not up in here, but, and to me, that's one of the reasons why you got to start taking Andy seriously, just because 2 weeks ago, he did something this week that 2 weeks ago, or even a week ago, you were like, that would never happen. And, hey, kudos to them. Big move. It'll be remembered by all the Survivor historians moving forward, and probably it'll try to be replicated and duplicated, but I don't know if it's going to be executed to the extent that it was this past week. We get to an immunity challenge, and a lot is going on, and we're back. Everybody's got to recenter, refocus, and basically the vote is to get Rachel out. So Genevieve, Sam, and Andy, that's who they're gunning for, and so they go, well, we just got to make sure Rachel doesn't win. So
she
the immunity
keeps them alive. That challenge,
she destroys them. She crosses a balance beam with a ball on a plate. She moves a warrior staff through a metal maze and pushes the skull across the maze while she's doing it. Then she throws some balls on a pendulum and lands them. And, Rachel wins this immunity for now the second time in a row. At this point, when you're watching the episode, are you going, oh shit, that whole Operation Italy was just a farce and now it's all for naught? Because I'll be honest, this is what I said when Rachel won, or when all this was going down and they're headed to this immunity challenge, I said, when Rachel wins, this will be exactly what I thought it was. A dumb idea. And
yeah, you know, we never heard of like who was the alternate. And so it was really, it was kind of like, well, shoot, now what? A couple questions. A warrior staff. Is that what a warrior staff? I was laughing. I was like, I don't know what this is called. I guess we can call it a warrior staff. Sure.
I mean, they're in Hawaii, man. They're using the, whatever they can to call things what they are. But to me, it looked like a barbell with two small crates on the end. But hey, it did the job. Warrior staff. I mean, I would like to have a warrior staff. That'd be cool.
Do you know what prediction hasn't aged well? We were saying like early in the merge, Sue is like constantly a runner-up in these challenges. She's like she is like Kyle's biggest competition. She's just gonna eat things up when he's gone. Ooh, these challenges look good for Sue. I'm like, oh no. Like, and Rachel and like Sam are kind of the challenge beast of the season at this point, I suppose, with Cal gone.
Yeah, so Sue is for 72, the 20 plus days is catching up to her in every way, in appearance, strength, emotion. Like, you've seen it all over the past few weeks. Like, I love Sue, and as the president of the Survivor fan club, like, I think like next week might be it for us. And she has an idol, which next week shouldn't be it for her unless there's like
can you imagine she played it correctly tonight? If she had played it for Caroline?
God. Could you so I asked myself, okay, would I be mad like if she didn't play it for herself but she used it and it worked in her favor to save Caroline?
I'm here for it. I'd be like, holy smokes, she's playing 3D chess and everyone else is playing checkers.
And that's kind of where I landed, was if she did that, people, it probably would have been just sheer dumb like luck. Like, I just feel obligated, like very motherly. Yes, Mary, Sue was not great grandmothering today. She was having a day. You saw her face. She was down in the coal mines working hard all day. When she got to tribal, she just wasn't having anything. But yeah, I think like if she would have played it, people would have thought it was just her being nice and sweet, being like that grandmotherly figure. I don't think they necessarily would have thought that she's like, this was a strategic, like, mastermind move, because at that point, if Caroline's good, then it's a tie between Sam and Genevieve.
Yeah.
And so like that's craziness. Now that's when I think you get a very one-sided like vote. Like it's all, and I don't know. Who goes home, do you think?
Maybe Genevieve, because the idol threats. The teeny probably vote Sam.
I mean, Teeny this season has not liked a lot of people. She's not like Genevieve at one point. She's still, I don't really think, likes Genevieve. And she really doesn't like Sam. And I mean, she's still there. And so are they. Like, something's got to come to a head at some point.
So with Rachel being immune, Operation Italy continues, but say, all right, our next target's going to be Caroline. Was that the correct target here?
So when you look at who you don't want to see in the final three, like I would want to know, well, okay, why do they believe Caroline should go home? Like, what makes her this big threat over, like, to me, like, I feel like she's no more threatening at this particular point in the game than Sue is.
And I think that could partially be because of the people in the game. I'm looking at have you seen the Survivor confessional time tracker?
No.
So this person on Reddit does a confessional count, but not by number of confessionals, but by time of the confessionals. So which kind of solves some of the measurement issues. And so before this most recent episode, so up to episode 11, Caroline had the least amount of screen time at 7 minutes 41 seconds of their final 7. And so we've just seen the least of her. And so I think we're led to believe there's nothing too crazy or impressive about her game, but she's played a very solid game. I think she's like the under the radar female player that's going to strike at the end for the victory. She gives that vibe off. I don't know. I mean, I think had Sue gone home here, like that would have really blown things open, because suddenly it's like, all right, I think every spot at the end, we're gonna have someone who's fighting. Like versus I don't think anyone's looking at Sue or targeting Sue.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we can talk more about Tribal. I don't think that there was even like an inclination of any kind of funny business outside of Operation Italy that was going to happen on their part. I think everybody that went in, like I think Genevieve, Sam, and Andy were really comfortable and confident that they were going to split the vote. I think that, they had to make that tough decision for Caroline, but I think it's only because it's like, well, Caroline, we really want it to be Rachel, but because it can't be Rachel, it's either Caroline, Teeny, or Sue. And like, to me, I think Teeny is as dangerous of a player as any of those three, so why not her? I'm with you. Like, why did it have to be Caroline?
I think, to some fairness, you have one solid duo left in the game of Sue and Caroline that everyone knows. You also have the fact that Sam, Genevieve, and Andy are from the Yellow and Red tribes, so their connection to Sue and Caroline just aren't as strong. Of the two of them, between Sue and Caroline is the head of the ship. If you like, she's probably Tweedledee, Sue's probably Tweedledum.
Hey, easy now. Easy.
I know those are fighting words. I'm sorry, forgive me.
Girl. Do you? Yeah, I don't know. It's at this point, it's as long as it ain't you, like you live to fight another day, then you decide, all right, what's next? And Genevieve might have also gotten word of a girls' alliance that Caroline was trying to push, and so they wanted to just eliminate that altogether. That wasn't what was in the edit or what we saw, but that could have easily been a factor outside of it. But what do you think about this girls' alliance?
I mean, outside of Andy flipping, it seemed like alliance that definitely could be top 4. Like, does this seem like alliance that would be, at first glance, willing to roll at least 1 or 2 votes with each other before cannibalizing someone?
And this is a particular moment where you look back at Genevieve's game and go, you not being wanting to connect with people is what didn't get you into the girls' alliance. If this was something that would have worked, because I think that they would have then, if the girls' alliance worked, they would have went Sam, and then Genevieve would have been next. And if you don't make a big move this episode, I don't think Andy makes a big move next episode, because I don't think he's got numbers at that point. So, but anyways, Caroline is voted out. No idols were played, so you still got Rachel having an idol and an advantage. You've got Sue with her idol. You're coming up to final 5 with you got the final 6. We're gonna get to our final 5, and these idols have to be played. This advantage has to be played. So, my question is to you is when and how do these things get played? Because to me, it looks like Sue has no plan to play this thing. And I think that's a problem.
So I think there's a high likelihood at the final 6, Teeny, Sue, and Rachel vote with each other. They block, let's say, Andy's vote, and Sam goes home. Or Sam or Genevieve goes home. And then I think there's an attempt to take out Rachel at 5. Rachel plays her idol. Sue plays her idol. Someone's idol out. And then final 4 is anyone's guess.
Would you... All right, so backtrack in that scenario. All right, instead of voting Sam, why not vote Andy?
I think the bad blood between Teeny and Sam will focus on Sam. I think Andy could also be at risk, though. I wouldn't be surprised.
See, to me, I feel like Andy gained the most, but he also is the most vulnerable, if that makes sense. Him and Teeny, in my opinion, I guess we'll talk about that now. All right, moving into next week, you see Rachel, basically feeling as though she's got to take on everybody. She knew that she's the target. She was supposed to be the target. She won immunity, and now she's not.
The scene with Rachel and Genevieve kind of standing 2 feet apart, arms crossed, looking at each other. The island ain't big enough for the 2 of us.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me if I'm Rachel, because I know, like, I got something that you don't. As long as you don't win immunity, like, we're good.
Will we have an advantage getting next week as a result of everything else in the game? Maybe things just get crazy. You get an advantage played, you get idols played, you get it all. Maybe, at the end of next week, maybe nobody has anything. My hope is that Sue doesn't give her idol away and she plays it for herself and keeps her game going. Because I honestly think if she doesn't make a move with it and just has a normal idol play, I think people are like, I think people are like, I need you to come with me to final 3, please. I can beat you. But you see Rachel feeling as though she's got to take everybody on. And I'll ask you, who do you think, outside of Andy, who's the next person that's more vulnerable? I have a thought, but I wanted to get your take on it first. I think Sam.
Yeah, I think Andy and Sam are basically 1 and 2, 1 and 1A. If you think about it, I personally, if I know, like, I would have to believe that Andy was the one who concocted this plan just based on what his role in making it happen.
I don't think he's going to shy away from telling people it was him.
I don't think so either, because I think Rachel's savvy enough to know, well, that's why you wanted us to split the vote so hard. You pushed it. Teeny will probably see through it too, but I think Teeny is in a tough position too. Rachel's got things that she can use. Sue's got things that she can use. And then you have Teeny. She's the 3rd person of that triad, and she has nothing that can save her. So in the event that a Sam, a Genevieve, or an Andy win immunity, like that, like something, I don't see it going any other way. If now the tribal lines are set where Andy's set on Genevieve and Sam, and it's Teeny, Rachel, and Sue. So, outside of that, man, another a very, I don't know, best episode of the season.
I'm saying best episode of the season, and so I was curious. This coming from Mo. So who are you rooting for at this point? Who are you cheering for? And I know it's Sue's number 1, but I guess if it wasn't Sue, who's number 2?
Oh man, I'm big on the underdog, and
Who is the underdog at this point?
Well, that's
Sue, probably.
It changes, I guess. Sue to me is like the ultimate underdog. Like nobody except for me thinks that she's going to win. But I mean, I don't want to go with the popular pick, but I feel like Rachel is there. I feel like she's being pushed to the brink of like, we want you gone. Like, and if you can figure out how to stay around when people want you gone and you win immunity and you give the double bird to the people that were creating this plan to get you out, like that's what I like. But I wouldn't be disappointed to see Teenie win. I wouldn't be disappointed. I think that's it. I wouldn't be disappointed to see anybody win. And even Andy to some, there's a little bit in me that's like, God, I just don't want him to win. I just don't like people who want to quit. And he wanted to quit. And like that just rubs me the wrong way. And I get it. He was going through it, but it was day 3. Like, come on, man. Like, if you didn't think it was going to be hard, like, I mean, you definitely got to go into this knowing how difficult it's going to be. But I'm okay with anybody winning, which is, I think, vastly different than the past few seasons where I was very, very adamant about wanting someone to win because I felt they were deserving and they didn't even make the final 3. So, but what about you? Who are you rooting for?
I'm rooting for us to have a good finale, but beyond that, I would love to see Teenie steal a victory. I think, I don't know how Teenie can do that at this point, but I would love to see Teenie like give a commanding final tribal council, do something wild at Final 5-4, be able to like pull out the stops and stun the audience. That would be amazing. I would love to see Genevieve sneak her way to the end. I don't see that happening. And so I think the biggest 2 contenders at this point are likely going to be Andy and Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back of the move that was just made, the target was Rachel. Rachel persevered. You got Rachel, who is probably going to go, all right, Andy's the catalyst. Like, I feel like that's the fight that, we want to see at the end is those 2 and who's going to get the upper hand. For the first time in a long time where I've liked every player this late on. Truer words have never been spoken, Mo. You were right. They I like every player, even Andy. He's the most disliked of the players left, but I don't hate him anymore. I think he's figuring his way out. But yeah, I could see everybody winning and I would be all right with that. It's not like a Gabler moment where I'm just like, that guy won. Like, and I'm glad he donated all his money. That's a very noble thing to do, but like, he didn't do anything. Let's be
it's one of the finales. I'm just like, didn't see this coming.
True. What's out there? What are we plugging? What are we promoting before we get out of here?
Man, I don't have much going on right now. I wish I had a whole bunch. If you're interested in applying for games, check out see what's around on the Library Game casting page on Instagram, LRG_casting. There was the reindeer games hosted by Santi in Austin. And was it this past weekend before? So that was cool to see happen here recently.
Yeah, it was the weekend of Thanksgiving, I believe. And it's been crazy. Like I said, I talked to him and he was super positive about the whole experience. He said it went perfectly. Definitely something that he plans on doing, every year. So Santi's a good dude, of LRG vet, done a lot of them. He knows what he's doing. And just personality wise, like, I don't think you could ask for anybody to host better than him.
Do we need more Survivor games that are set in December? Some more games out in the snow for people to suffer through?
Here's what I wish. Like, sure, we can do that. Why don't we bring them to Florida where the weather is awesome right now? It's a little chilly right now for my liking, but during the day it's 70 degrees. Like that's a win. It's very lovely. Like I am feeling myself every day when I'm strolling outside. It's nice. It's nice to walk my kids to school and not sweat to death. If you want to apply for live reality games, check out facebook.com/groups/LRG casting, Instagram LRG casting. All the games that are coming up that are their applications are live for is in there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to those people running those socials because they got all the insight, all the info, and the ones that will be coming up, in the near future, they'll probably have some insight to those.
Mm-hmm.
Steven, I got big news, man. Big news. Today, Survivor Angelica dropped a trailer for this past season.
Okay.
So you can see me and my name on the trailer. It's out there on social media. I will send it over to you. You can put that out there. But Survivor Angelica, it happened. It was run last August, and what a great time. We had a blast. A lot of people that I've met have now become friends, and we're how it is. You get in these group threads and you just, you become lifelong friends, and hopefully you get a chance to play a game with them again at some point. And there's literally not a single person on that cast that I wouldn't want to have a beer with, play another game with, or even just talk to. So big things in Survivor Angelica world. That, first episode will be coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. You'll see me. What's funny, and I'll spoil a little bit because in the intro you have them, and my name is Dan. Do you know, like, people like, I like being called Daniel, or I shortened it to DB because when I moved to Florida, for whatever reason, Daniel was just too hard for people to say. It became Dan a lot. And it was just like a thing that Floridians did. So then when I went to Survivor Angelica, I was like, well, I'm up north. Like, we're in, outside Rochester, New York. Like, they'll call me Daniel. Nope. It was Dan. Dan the whole way. I got a DB every now and then, or a Daniel occasionally, but it was Dan. So for all my friends out there, it's okay. Dan's fine. I've been called worse, but yeah. So that's what you get.
Here I was thinking you were going to say, I adopted this persona for when I play the Survivor games. I'm not Daniel. I'm Dan. Dan is ruthless. Dan cuts people, but no, it's simply your name is just
moving forward. My meta game is now through Dan's vision. Like I'm now going to play as Dan moving forward in all live reality games. So if you guys see me out there and it's Dan, you know what you're getting. If it's Daniel, you're just be like, oh, that dude's, he's a jabroni. Don't worry about that guy. But Dan, you got somebody to watch out for.
You've been warned.
All right, Steven, another successful episode. Looking forward next week. We got 2 more episodes of the season left, and you can hear us break it down. So if you like us, share us. If you don't, then, try it again next week, and I promise you'll probably like it a little bit better. But it's been Live Reality Games Podcast, Survivor 47, Episode 12 recap show. We are out. Peace.